When we hear the word entrepreneur, certain images immediately pop into our minds. Perhaps Steve Jobs standing on a stage with an iPhone in his hand. Perhaps Elon Musk launching rockets towards the sky. Or perhaps Jeff Bezos transforming a small online bookstore into one of the world's largest technology companies. We think of innovation. We think of extraordinary companies. And of course, we think of extraordinary wealth. But there is something interesting about these stories. We usually meet the entrepreneurs at the end of the story. We see the success, the recognition, the headlines, the final scenes of that familiar rags to riches narrative we watch on television and in cinema. But today, we are not interested in the final scene. We want to go back to the exposition, to where the story actually begins. Before the company, before the investment, before the wealth, before the recognition, there was simply a person looking at the world slightly differently. Where most people saw an inconvenience, perhaps that person saw a problem worth solving. Where others saw uncertainty, perhaps that person saw possibility. Where others asked, why? That person asked, why not? And perhaps that is where entrepreneurship really begins. Not when a company is registered, not when the first investment arrives, not even when the first product is launched. Perhaps entrepreneurship begins with a particular way of seeing the world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Entrepreneurship Masterclass, a 10-part Intellectual Adda, in which we will travel beyond the headlines and success stories to explore how entrepreneurs actually think, begin, build, struggle, fail, adapt, innovate, lead, and ultimately create value. And today, we begin our journey not with money, not with business plan, not with technology. We begin with the mind. What is the entrepreneurial mindset? Where does it come from? Are entrepreneurs born or can they be made? And perhaps, most importantly, can ordinary people learn how to see possibilities that others overlook? To explore these questions, we are going to dive into the scholarly work and indeed the extraordinary life of a man whose own story unfolds through multiple interesting plots: academia, naval leadership, industry collaboration, science, technology, and philosophy. In one plot, he is a strategic academic leader serving as Vice Chancellor of Bangladesh Maritime University. Turn the page and we find an admiral who served as the Assistant Chief of Naval Staff Material of Bangladesh Navy. Turn another page and we discover that his leadership was forged in places where very few people ever experienced leadership, not only inside comfortable offices, but inside shipyards, on the oceans, during United Nations peacekeeping missions, and at the frontiers of developing national maritime capabilities. But turn the page once more, and another character emerges, the scholar, a researcher and prolific writer whose work traces across engineering, technology, leadership, science, and philosophy. With more than 250 published articles, in international journals and around 40 books on Amazon. And then comes perhaps my favorite plot. After a career spent with ships, engineering, technology, and naval leadership, he continues to voyage into completely a different ocean, the ocean of ideas. He reads Albert Einstein, Richard Feynman, Stephen Hawking, and Michio Kaku. And he asks questions that travel far beyond engineering, shipbuilding, maritime operations, and naval warfare. For him, knowledge is not a destination, it is a voice. And that is why I sometimes think of his life as a book with many chapters. Today, however, we are going to open just one of those chapters, a chapter inspired by his research into the lives and lessons of some of the world's successful entrepreneurs. And appropriately, we begin where every entrepreneurial story begins, the entrepreneurial mindset. Vice Chancellor, welcome to Creativity Café for an Intellectual Adda.
Thank you, Dr. Moin, and dear wonderful audience. Once again, very humbly, I want to say I'm nothing but a student of knowledge, nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So kind of you for your humility after having such a fascinating story. Let us begin at the beginning, Admiral and Vice Chancellor, not with the business, but with the entrepreneur. Vice Chancellor, I want to take you to a drama. Just imagine two people walking down the same street. They experience exactly the same traffic, shops, technology, frustration, and everyday problems. One simply sees the world as it is. The other notices something and thinks, surely there is a better way of doing this. That a small question might eventually become a product, a service, or even an industry. So what does an entrepreneur see that others don't? Is entrepreneurship fundamentally about recognizing opportunities hidden inside ordinary problems? Vice Chancellor.
Well, entrepreneurs often distinguish themselves by recognizing possibilities in situations others accept as normal.